Yep. Yep. How you doing? Hi, everybody.
This is the home of massive dance records, classic pop music, good times, and people staying up long after their bedtime.
Yeah.
Let's forget the therapy and dance.
Now coming real strong. Tino like the back of top. Now to your bucket head. Drop it out forward like you did. Now coming real strong. Tino like the back of top. Now to your bucket head. Drop it out forward like you did.
Oh man. Well, I tried. It did not make my mood better. Did not make my mood better. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to fucking talk about it, dude.
Right now, that that bond, that $500 million bond that had been set and that the former president had to deal with today, has now been reduced to $175 million. So that $465 million plus bond that he was looking at has now been reduced. As of right now, we're getting this breaking news. This appeals court allowing the former president to post a smaller bond of $175 million within 10 days. David, what does that tell you?
Jose, it tells me something that you and I have talked about before, and that is the playbook is different for former President Trump. We were literally talking about this the last time you and I discussed this case. I expect for them to do something for him that's different than what you see for everybody else when they go to court. So here, he's given more time to pay less money. That's what it comes down to.
And Tristan, so what does that process look like in the courtroom there?
Do we even need to ask? I mean, honestly, this is so infuriating. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know if I care what the process is that these judges are arriving at. Whatever it is, it's flawed. I can tell you that much. I mean, David put it well. This is a different process for this person. We have decided that he gets his own private court of justice. He has a private plane. He has private clubs that he lives in. You know, apparently, you know, he basically fashioned himself his own private militia to try to take over the Capitol. You know, now he's getting his own private system of justice. This is an absolute travesty. It would not happen for anybody else. Anybody else, it would be like, sorry, buddy, you lost, pay up. For him, he gets his own set of rules.
Legally, Tristan, how is that done?
We just saw it. They just decided that the appellate court has now just decided they're going to swoop in and just change it. And that's it. and now the AG's office can now try to go up above them. I believe, I don't know what the details are because you just told us. I'm guessing this is coming from the First Department, Appellate Division, First Department. That's the intermediate court here in New York that would be issuing a decision here. I don't know if there's a remedy for the AG's office to go up to the Court of Appeals, which is our high court here in New York, and try to get them to basically countermand this order. But in my view, this is, without knowing more, unless there's some sort of other extenuating circumstance that we're going to learn here, this appears to be an absolute gross miscarriage of justice.
So let's go into it, because I'm getting right now, and this literally is just coming across. So this is indeed the Supreme Court of the state of New York, Appellate Division, First Judicial Department, and there are 5 present, including the presiding judge, Diane Renwick. And I'm just getting it right now, and we can kind of learn it together as we see it. It says, the appeals having been taken to this court from an order of the Supreme Court of New York County entered on or about February 16th, and defendants appellants having moved pursuant to CPLR 5519 to stay enforcement of the order and ensuring judgment. Upon reading and filing the papers with respect to the motion and deliberation, it is ordered that the motion is granted the extent of staying enforcement of these portions of the judgment ordering disgorgement of to the Attorney General of $464,576,000 conditioned on defendants posting within 10 days of the date of this order an undertaking in the amount of $175 million, permanently barring defendants Weisselberg and McConney from serving in the financial control, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of the other issues that we have learned since about Weisselberg and McConney not being able to serve for 3 years, barring Donald J. Trump and the corporate defendants from applying for loans in New York for 3 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This motion is otherwise denied, including to the extent it seeks a stay of enforcement of portions of the judgment. So it was just decided right now, David, and it was just, how do they come up with a number of 175 from 500 million to $175 million? How does this happen?
They don't give us the benefit of their calculus in that order, right? Because I was sitting here trying to process that myself. But the other thing I'm sitting here thinking, and here's something that I cannot stress enough. Every day, every courtroom in America, if we go there and we sit in that courtroom, we will find someone whose back is really up against the wall because they cannot afford to pay something that they have been ordered to pay. And they will generally plead with the court to reduce the amount they have to pay, and the court may give them some leeway, but you do not see it happen like this. And let's go back to that Fox News clip. Yes, they're talking about it being a lot of money, but you're also someone who has a lot of money. One of the things that we do to try to put in perspective what fines mean in a courtroom is sometimes we'll say, you take the average American household and you hit them with a $1,000 fine, that might be crippling. The rent might not get paid. There may not be enough money for food. It's a huge, huge number. Then you ask the question, what is an $1,000 penalty for a billionaire or for someone who owns properties worth tens of millions of dollars? And in that context, that's the way you have to interpret what the court has chosen to do here. And I agree with Tristan, there's simply no logic that justifies it, and there's no moral authority that justifies it.
And I mean, Tristan, I'm just looking at this. This was actually filed at 11:06 a.m. So we're just talking about 23 minutes ago that it was filed. And so, Tristan, is it unusual that it's just a statement of a decision taken to lower it from $464.5?
Apparently that's pretty common in New York.
$175 million. No explanation given. Tristan, no explanation normally given. Tristan, no normal explanation required?
An explanation should be required, but it isn't here. It isn't given to us here. This doesn't necessarily surprise me. A lot of times New York courts give orders that are short and light on their showing their work, so to speak. You know, we're not really seeing where this comes from. A lot of times you get very short summary opinions from courts in New York. The exception to this, wonderfully, because I think it was very helpful for all of us to see, was what we got out of Judge Engoron, where he issued these long and very carefully thought out orders explaining exactly where his analysis came from and how he arrived at the conclusions that he arrived at. And then to have that come from him and then have this other set of judges just show up and just squish it. They just drop a bomb on this and they don't give us any explanation at all. Yeah, that's enormously frustrating. And I would say it's wrong. It just shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't happen this way. We deserve, the public, the people of the state of New York deserve better than to have this happen. This is, and we have to remember, that's who the plaintiff is here. It's not Letitia James or her office or whatever. Yes, they are our public servants who are doing this on our behalf. But the plaintiff is the people of the state of New York, and we deserve better out of our judicial system than to have something like this happen, where we're not actually even getting to find out what the Wizard of Oz is doing behind the damn curtain. This is ridiculous.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new.
Well, that's not much of a punishment, is it, Tisriel? You do realize these are supposed to be punishments. Welcome back, strategy. So just to recap here, at the 11th hour, at the final second, the appeals court decided arbitrarily, seemingly, to reduce the bond amount by 1/3. Yeah, Ponder Monkey, that's a great point to Tisriel's comment. So 1/3, so he has to pay so just arbitrarily they make this decision for 1/3 of the amount, which is around 175 million. And he gets 10 days to pay that, gets a 10-day extension. Even though he doesn't need that for that amount, but I guess he gets 10 days to find a surety. For some reason, he also gets to do business in New York again. I don't quite know why yet. Maybe we'll find out in some of these other clips. I do believe this is just the bond for the appeal. If the appeal fails, then he will still owe the $500 million. But this is, this helps Trump because his strategy is to delay. And this helps, because now we have to go through an entire appeals process. That probably won't be finished for several months. Hey, Leon. So it's very likely that he's going to lose the appeal, and he knows that because there's no grounds on it. So it's not like he just got out of having to pay $500 million for his crimes that he was found guilty of in a court of law with evidence and scrutiny and the entire process. People act like Joe Biden is the judge, the bad actors, because that's what they want. In their mind, it already works in the way that they want it to work, which is a dictatorship. Like, it's using the Justice Department against a political opponent. Of course, we all know that that's not the case. The reason why Donald Trump is in legal trouble is because he, he broke the law. So let's keep this slop train going. If you're curious about what Fox News is saying, just to be fair and balanced, here's a little sample of what Fox News thinks. Headline: absurd. Trump bond should be reduced to nothing. By the way, it was either in this clip or the previous other Fox clip that I watched in private, where this host, I can't remember her name, she calls Letitia James far left, and it's like, what does that even mean? You know, to them, far left is a woman who wants to, you know, who was raped and wants to get an abortion. You know, to me, far left is a ignorant tanky or anarchist on Twitter who, you know, refuses to participate in the system, you know, and, you know, basically just becomes a tool of the empires that he hates so much through his apathy. But let's have a little sample of this vomit just to be a little fair and balanced. Fox News, of course, just unreality of it all. I can't, I'm speechless. I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked.
Jonathan Turley, constitutional law attorney and Fox News contributor, is going to watch.
I've never seen a more blatant. You're rich, so you get to be innocent. You know, miscarriage of justice. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen a case. I've never seen anything like this, where our justice system goes, well, you're special. They usually hide it better.
Watch with me. Jonathan, your thoughts on what's transpired? You get the $454 million bond slashed to $175 million.
Well, you know, the Court of Appeals may have felt that they can't prejudge the evidence, and so to reduce the bond further would have been heavy-handed. I actually think they could have reduced this bond to virtually nothing because the amount set by Engoron was absurd. I mean, most of us drilled down on these figures and could not find a there. There were no victims. There was no money lost. You had people that loaned this money and wanted more business. And so this figure seemed to be just snatched out of the air. He connected it to a few properties.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. The figure was not snatched out of the air. We all know none of this is true. We're not going to watch the whole clip, but if you want to, you can do this. I'm bursting at the seams, dude. I'm slapping my knee so hard I got bruises. Fox News should focus on foxes. And people with Fox in their name. They do like 8-hour segments on Megan Fox. Now into our 16th hour of the Megan Fox Marathon. We're going to watch, what was it? Jennifer's Body. Again. For the 15th time. It's a good movie. She's like an alien or something. Cool. Megan Fox, huh? Got terrible taste in men, I'll tell you that. She let Machine Gun Kelly pretend to be Kanye West for a couple months with her. Isn't it cute? These weirdo, egotistical musicians, they get these trophy girlfriends, then they dress them up in their fashion. You know, Kanye West just puts a napkin over his wife's tits, calls it clothes. Isn't that funny? Well, Trump is odds on in the betting. That's the reality. The polls, some polls, well, there were 8 polls that were done just a couple, like last week, that showed Biden ahead. But there was also a poll done in Michigan just recently that showed Trump way ahead because of the Muslim population in Michigan. And Michigan's a very important swing state. They all do. That's why they like me. Oh. Okay. All right, let's watch this thing.
Michael Elise here. What is the historical parallel, the closest parallel to a politician who is this embroiled in legal problems in the run-up to an election? What can you think of any? Is there any history guideposts
he's doing the DBZ thing. He was just about to give me a fucking
the shortest answer on earth.
Energy
Nothing
blast,
at all.
dog.
When have we seen, especially not only former president, a presidential candidate, putative nominee in court this way? And the other thing is that, you know, presidents in history, we elect them because they've been a success in their profession. I was mentioning Washington Lincoln. General Grant won the war, the Civil War, did a lot to help us win the Civil War. Dwight Eisenhower led forces on D-Day. If Dwight Eisenhower had failed on D-Day and those forces had been turned back and they'd go back into the sea, do you think that he would have had a prayer of being elected in 1952? So Donald Trump this week is going to be shown as essentially a fraud. This was never a successful businessman, someone who does not obey the law, someone who will not support the Constitution, as I was saying earlier. And more important than that, look at his record as president. Two things, and I'll just say these. Number one, our security and that of our children, we Americans, is protected by an elaborate system of alliances. Joe, you and Mika have talked about it a lot, beginning with NATO. Donald Trump has said, elect me president again, I will vandalize NATO, and under certain circumstances, I'll tell Putin, do whatever the hell you want, direct quote. And the other thing may be just as important. A president is supposed to protect our lives. 4 years ago this month, the horrible COVID pandemic began. How well did Donald Trump do in telling Americans how to protect themselves, in mobilizing the forces of the federal government to be frank about the danger that was here?
He sucked. He was a bad president. One of the worst. Oh, the economy. Oh, blah, blah, blah. No, the economy was actually really garbage. He sent us some money because of COVID. You know.
People could find some way to make sure that we survive this thing. You know, I leave it to you. You know, I think all this year, day after day, we should say, what was Donald Trump doing 4 years ago today to avert 1 million deaths? Didn't happen.
You know, Joe, listening to Michael Beschloss and everybody else here in the panel today, talking about the myriad of issues and the weight of the problems, financial and political, that Donald Trump carries each and every day, I'm just thinking that we have been carrying this fugitive from justice in our history literally for over 3 decades, before he even became a real public figure, appearing on The Apprentice and running and winning the presidency of the United States. And I used to think I had some sort of an answer that he...
Leon, I've never seen a more blatant miscarriage of justice. Like this is not even Kyle Rittenhouse. You know, there's a bunch of right-wing judges. These are, you know, this isn't far left, as the right calls it, but this is not exactly Kentucky. Talking about New York. He's not a friend in New York. But the system felt it necessary to protect this man reflexively, inherently. I'm not expecting bias, but I'm expecting justice. No American in history, regardless of status, has ever received this kind of treatment. I'm talking even the millionaires that get snagged once in a while don't get this kind of treatment. Let's not forget, Bernie Madoff's son jumped out of a fucking window because of the debt. Because he was like, I can't escape this. I'm screwed. Even me, rich guy, I'm screwed. Dad! Wow, Dakota Killer here. You caught me on a bad day, man. What, are you here to gloat? Because you like Trump? I hope not, Dakota Killer. I like you. But no, this is chilling. Yeah. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. This is a harbinger of our authoritarian future. This is like the first, you know, when they do that dramatization They're going to make this part of it. You know, of the Trump story, of the history of Trump and Trump's dictatorship and all that. Or maybe attempt. Maybe he'll lose this election. Stand behind him. So you stand behind Joe Biden then, don't you? You fucking hypocrite. You piece of shit. Right? Let me guess. Joe did that? Joe did that? No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. Joe did that until the prices of the gas started to go down. Oh, now we got to scratch that sticker off. Do you think the Palestinians should be all killed, or do you think the Palestinians should all be ejected to the Sinai Peninsula? What is your solution? Obviously, you don't think the Palestinians deserve their own country, right? You don't believe they're human, right? So which one do you believe in? Kill them all? Exile? Which one is it? Maybe a little camp, southern Gaza? Give them a little sliver? Cram them all in there? Answer my question, or you will be banned immediately. That's not an answer to my fucking question. So you support Israel. That means you support ethnic cleansing. Do you support killing all the Palestinians, or do you support pushing them out into the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt? By the way, Egypt doesn't want that to happen, but I'm sure you don't care. There it is. There it is. Your average Trump supporter right here. Your average Trump supporter right there. So not only are we going to ban you, but we're also going to report you. Slurs and symbols. Take a look at the chat. Mentions lynching. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and close. And you Canadian turncoat. Interesting. I'm still a U.S. citizen. I still pay U.S. taxes, just so you know. Yeah, right, Dakota. That's why I put the Trump 2024 hashtag on the chat there. I want to attract these people, and I want to shame them. I want them to admit that they want dictatorship. I want them to admit that they agree with ethnic cleansing, and of course, they just go ahead and call themselves out and say, "Oh, I'm also a disgusting racist as well." If it was your duty, there wouldn't be as much written into your Constitution to make it clear that you should oppose the government and military. What? What? Rebellion is a big part of U.S. History and U.S. culture and society, much as liberty is a big part of French culture and society. You have UK in your name. We literally took a shit on your king and became greater than you because of it, because of our democracy, because of our independence, because of our liberty, because of our Constitution. We didn't bend the knee to George. But there's a big chunk of not a big chunk actually. There's a vocal minority of Americans. Nonetheless, they do make up tens of millions, but they are a minority compared to the total population. But they want a king. They want to go back to a monarchy. They want to go back to, that, or they want to move forward with a new, style dictatorship, whatever they're going to get. Dakota stance that it is duty to support the American president. Oh, Memento. That wasn't Dakota's comment. That was the other person that I banned. Memento. Sorry for the confusion. I'm in a very bad mood today. I am a permanent resident in Canada, currently applying for citizenship. Technically, you would call me an immigrant. I am currently a U.S. citizen. If I fail in this endeavor to get Canadian citizenship, I will be, returned to my country of origin. Say your name, Dakota, my mix-up. It's all good. Greatest country in the world. Hey, buddy, Father Dari. #1. We're doing it big. Everybody, come on, bitch. Doing it big time. Doing it big time. Woo! We having fun yet? I'm killing it, man. Good stream.
You know, was a master of focusing in on people's anger and resentment about things around their lives, and that's one of the reasons he won. I no longer have an answer to it. I mean, he's been around and survived all of these incredible, weighty legal and political issues, and he's still here.
Do you think these neoliberal dick suckers at MSNBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, fill in the blank, you know what I'm talking about? You think these Joe Biden defenders, these water carriers for the neoliberal establishment who have failed at every stage to stop this? Who put Merrick Garland in charge? Joe fucking Biden. Do you think these fucking neoliberal assholes at MSNBC are going to finally start applying pressure to this failed political party that is letting fascism ruin the most beautiful democratic experiment on planet Earth? The potential of America just for this man, for this human pile of garbage. Are you finally going to do something? You know, are you finally going to stand up? No, right? Vote more of them. That's your solution, huh? As always. These bastards are the absolute last people to admit that they were dead fucking wrong in putting all their energy. Remember this group. Let me see him here. Let me see the goddamn Brady Bunch panel they had up. Where is it? They had all of them up. Here we go. I guarantee you, every motherfucking one of these well-paid assholes vehemently said we can't have Bernie. Vehemently said we need Hillary. Doubled down, tripled down on the neoliberal strategy of running to the right every time there's a pushback, every time there's a hiccup. Well, it worked once in the 90s for Clinton. Oh, technically twice, maybe. Well, shit, man. It's the golden ticket. Are these hacks ever going to admit this? Ever? Will they ever admit it?
Elise, and I thought it was really insightful of him when he was running for president. He said something along the lines of, when people see me, they hold up a mirror and they see themselves, like the possibilities.
I can't take it anymore. Bye, Morning Joe. Okay, on to CNN. Okay, CNN had something more relevant. I can't take it anymore. Do some CNN.
Our colleague Kara Scannell reporting that an appeals court has ruled on this bond issue. We know the former president he had to post over $460 million today. And we've learned that a New York Court of Appeals has given Trump 10 additional days to post a bond of $175 million. Now that would cover the $464 million judgment against him in the civil fraud trial. So this is significant because this reduces the amount that he needs to post and also gives him 10 additional days. Now, there was a concern today that if he wasn't able to do this, that the Attorney General, Letitia James, she could move to start seizing his assets.
Just want to make clear, if he loses his appeal, there's a very good chance, he's on the hook for all of it. But if this is the way the appeals court is going to act. I mean, Tisreal saying, okay, well, in 10 more days, whatever. But this gives us a little hint into their mindset. Oh, poor Trump. Oh, that's so much money. Oh, help him out. Oh.
appeals court has weighed in here. They've ruled that he only needs to post $175 million. Still a lot of money, but less than half of what he had to post before, and he now has 10 days to do that. So that is a significant win for him.
Because and also we typically don't hear from the appeals court on Mondays. Even Trump's team was under the belief that they would only make an argument on or a ruling on Tuesdays or Thursdays. So while they've been inside this room, the appeals court has just said not only does he not have to pay the full amount, he only has to pay $175 million. They'd been trying, I believe, for $100 million, but he also has 10 more days.
How much you think that Coke costs? She looks rich. And I don't mean to shame her for looking fantastic, because she's banging, she's looking great, but she looks rich, you know, not just like a reporter, but like a millionaire. And I'm a little tired of it. But that's just me. You go, girl. She looks great. Thank you for following Scrum Bucket. This is not a pro-Trump channel, just in case you thought you found a safe space. You actually found a poison swamp in Dark Souls, and you are now slowly dying.
To come up with that $175 million in this case.
I'm going to read this. So, yeah, this is a huge win for him. I'm going to let Kristen take it for what she's hearing from the Trump team, and I'll read this.
An enormous win, because the fact that he would not have to pay the huge sum of nearly $500 million, which he couldn't pay, which we were waiting essentially to see what's going to happen. We had absolutely no word from Trump's attorneys whether or not he could post the bond. We were essentially under the impression he had not come up with it, as you said, grabbed in the hat for the 11th hour, that he was going to shift now to this idea of whether or not Letitia James was going to start seizing these assets. The other thing to point out here, when they approached those 30 or so underwriters, one of the big complaints that they were essentially having was that underwriters don't usually go for this amount of nearly $500 million. They were saying that the underwriters were saying, okay, we'll do $100 million. That's kind of our cap. Now there's a little bit of wiggle room, right? It's $175 million, still an enormous amount of money, a lot closer to what they were willing to do in the first place than that $500 million mark. So now they can go back to some of these places and see, would you be willing to do this? Also, he has the 10 days to figure out, does he have any of the assets he can add to this?
Well, and this is a huge, surprise even for Trump's legal team, who walked into this courthouse this morning for the criminal case and to figure out what's going on there, which I should know it's going about as badly as it could inside that courtroom right now. But this is huge news for them to come out and hear that not only do they have more time here, but it's way less than what they thought that they would have to pay, and maybe more palatable to these insurance giants to help underwrite that.
Yeah, this is really significant because, as we talked about today, even by Trump standards, this is such a consequential day. He's in here potentially learning about when the first criminal trial he will face will begin, and then he was facing the possibility that he would not be able to post this bond, and then the Attorney General would be seizing his assets. His identity for so long has been as a successful billionaire businessman. His name adorns buildings in this city and around the world. And we had talked about earlier the fact that he had appealed. We didn't expect to get a decision today, but here, this is a huge relief for him, and it does make it possible, though not certain, that he might be able to post this bond, seeing that they've made it less than half and given him 10 days to figure out how to potentially come up with this money. So this is a huge relief for Trump, and let's see. We'll start working the phones and see if they can come up with this money.
Well, and I think what is notable here is that as everyone at home is learning about this, as we are learning about this, Trump and his legal team are just learning about this because they've been inside that courtroom for 2 hours arguing something entirely different and unaware that this was a ruling that was coming today. They were expecting if it was coming, it would come tomorrow or maybe Thursday.
And I think that they weren't necessarily holding their breath that this was going to change at all. We talk about this a lot, what they asked for.
They weren't counting on the
Yes, they weren't counting on.
It's adorable. They're actually all sitting there in blankets. They got their warm little coffees. It's actually kind of adorable.
Breath that this was going to change at all. We talk about this a lot, what they asked
weren't counting
for.
on the
Yes, they weren't counting on the appeals court. That they thought that maybe they were going to have to end up trying to figure out what happens next in terms of seizing assets, in terms of Letitia James moving forward. we talk a lot about what Trump's legal team does in court and what their expectation is. A lot of it is done to kind of try to delay or to come up with new solutions. It's exhausting every avenue. Again, that's what your lawyers are paid to do. That's what they should be doing. This case, I think it was really 50-50 in their minds as to whether or not the appeals court would come back and have any changes at all. Particularly having both of these is a good thing for Donald Trump.
Any changes at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they weren't expecting. They were okay. We're fucked. That's what they were expecting, and they just get bailed out, man. Duke boy style. We got 2 minutes to the end of the episode, man. How are we gonna get this? Boss Hogg's right behind me. What do? Jump the creek. Fucking hop that bitch. Right? Car lands. Credits roll. Fuck. Do the credits while the car's in the air. End of show. Nailed it. Everyone who's never seen an episode of oh my god, I can't think of the goddamn Dukes of Hazzard. No one knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Here. UPI? No, not exactly. Yeah, let me show you something. You. There's a movie called You. All right. Duke boys. Jump. Yep. So sometimes at the end of an episode of the Dukes of Hazzard, they're just some good old boys. They don't mean no harm. Something like that. So sometimes, the writers would kind of get themselves up into a corner here because these guys, they'd have to commit a crime every single fucking episode. They're little rascals, right? And they're always running from the cops. You got about 60 seconds left at the end of your episode. They don't know what to do. So this is kind of
now
what would happen.
Now that the ramp was finished, General Lee was raring to take off like the Yankees at Manassas. That's Bull Run to all you folks up north.
All right, Phil, hang on tight. This is going to be the closest thing to a parachute jump you've seen since you left the service.
Yeah. This would kill anybody. This is suicide. I love that car. Goddamn. See, they pause it right in midair because they don't want to show the other part where the car goes completely vertical, straight down.
Long about now, I bet that boy wishes he had a parachute.
There you go. End of episode. There you go.
General.
See what I mean? Okay. So you get a good vision of it right here. Look at the angle. Look at the angle of descent. Right? They cut it off right here. Right? But they don't show that part where the car just completely nosedives. But if you see the first person camera they got on this motherfucker, look at the angle of descent here. Yeah, you're dead. You see that shit? You're not living, dude. Your head is now in the dashboard.
General.
Oh, they're just some good old boys.
General.
Like a piece of cake.
Got that one off the close there, Hoss.
No problem. That would rip a car in half.
And Jim, this is notable because these two moments that we've been talking about all morning, these twin moments. What is happening right now inside the court has not been going well for Donald Trump and his legal team. The judge has been kind of reprimanding his attorney, but they just walked out for that 45-minute recess to some very welcome news from this appeals court when it comes to that bond now being lowered and having more time to front that bond.
Yeah, Caitlin, I mean, Trump has been referring to some of these properties as his, quote, babies. So perhaps the babies are safe for now. Let me go back to our panel here in Washington, Phil Mattingly. I mean, Trump catches a break on the bond issue.
There's no question about it. I think it's important to the extent, without getting too deep into the financial weeds, to explain why this is so important and why the initial bond that had been set was so extraordinarily difficult for him to be able to meet. It wasn't just that it was $465 million.
Wouldn't that be funny if Happy Days found many reasons why Fonzie needs to jump sharks?
which was the judgment. It was that the way insurers work to underwrite that, they almost without fail require 120% of the bond itself. So that pushed it over $550 million. The point was also made, I think it was by Caitlin or by Kristen, that these insurers themselves usually aren't trying to go over $100 million. It is not normal. This is the size of this. There's not a lot of precedent when it comes particularly to an individual and a very small company. This isn't some massive public company that has huge revenues, has huge access to credit lines at major banks. Most of Donald Trump's banking relationships had all but disintegrated over the course of the last several years. And so not only is, while Donald Trump is liquid, he's not that liquid. They're requiring cash and cash equivalents. They are saying no to any property. Most of Donald Trump's value is in property. What this allows, by reducing this by about $300 million, giving him 10 days to find it, is one, he has cash. He's made clear he has cash and cash equivalents. And actually, for Donald Trump, the record's actually...
I see what Tisrael is doing in the chat, and I appreciate it. Don't worry. I won't. I don't think you're trying to defend Trump, but the can has been kicked down the road, and if anything, and not that it matters, because no matter what happens, if he's found guilty, if he's punished, the sycophants will say miscarriage of justice, political hit job. Politicization of our justice system, yada, yada. They're always going to say that. But what this does allow for people to retort with is, look, the appeals court kind of agreed with you sycophants about the amount, and they said no one's had to like put up a bond like this before. There's no surety company that would do that because they cap out at 100 mil usually. The thing is though, it's like this, as the person said, on the previous clip, Americans are going through this every single day, and sure, the amount isn't as high, but I can't pay or I don't have the money is not a good enough excuse for literally anyone else. And it's not like and Fox says, oh, the amount was pulled out of thin air. No, the hell it wasn't. No, the hell it wasn't. They have a whole system for calculating the amount. And they did an assessment. They said, okay, this is the fine for your crime. Compare it off the precedent from before, how they always do it.
Back that up. So he does have some cash. The other thing that's really interesting here, and Ali was talking about this last week, there's the Truth Social element of this. There's the merger.
Hi, Tyro. Welcome. You seem really excited. Well, let me just tell you what this channel's all about. I hope you have a good time at the News Underground.
Merger that closed last week or is in the process of closing could start trading as a public company by Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. While those shares, which are worth billions of dollars for Donald Trump, would technically be under a lockup agreement for 6 months, he wouldn't be able to use them, he wouldn't be able to sell them. He may be able to get a waiver to take out a loan against them. Right now, that would be impossible without a waiver. If the board gives him a waiver, that's another avenue.
I was in such a good mood yesterday, too. It was such a good stream. We really killed it. And I was like, okay, Monday, we're going to see some consequences, guys. I had hope. I guess I didn't, my reflexive, cynical behavior just wasn't that. I was like, yeah, man, there's no way he can get out of this. He's stone cold busted. There's no way. It would be unprecedented. It'd be unprecedented if he got out of this one. I mean, he's not the General Lee,
Significantly less money, more time, and opens up some options that perhaps didn't exist.
Ellie, tell us, did he catch a break here? He has 10 days to fork over $175 billion. That's still a lot of money. But,
yes, but oh my goodness, did he catch a break?
But the buildings may be safe.
For sure. So two big things happened. First, he got them extra time, 10 days. Time is very valuable here. But the amount of the bond he has to post has been cut by more than in half. And here comes the appeals court at the 11th hour and 59th minute and 59th second to give him this huge reduction. I just read through the order issued by the Court of Appeals. It's 2 pages long. There's next to nothing in terms of here's why we've come in with this huge reduction. But the fact that they've issued a substantial reduction, it happens. There are other cases we've seen where courts of appeals have come in and reduced bonds amounts by more than this, by 80, 90%.
Yes.
There is some, I think, implicit judgment in here that the amount of the bond, the full $500+ million, was unnecessary or excessive. It's not necessarily that they're passing judgment on the case as a whole, but what the Court of Appeals is saying is we, the court system, will be fine with a bond of $175 million.
And remember the purpose of the bond. This is not the full decision as to whether an appeal or the lower court ruling was wrong. In order to actually go through the appellate process for Trump, he had to have posted this bond. Now, many would look at this issue and say, well, hold on a second. That doesn't seem fair inherently that you have to resolve this money prior to the full appeal process happening. So that take it up with legislature if that's your issue, by the way, and the court rules. But the court is likely saying right now, we are confident that with this amount of money, that there is enough there to support that he can go forward with the procedural aspects of the appeal. I wouldn't read the tea leaves to suggest that they think that Engoron was wrong in his ultimate ruling or that the proportionality is so skewed. But certainly this is one heck of a break for, yet again, Teflon Don.
And as we've shown earlier, Fox News, immediately coming out and saying this is still too high. You should remove the entire thing. The whole thing needs to go. There's no limit. Look, when you're shameless, man. You push people to the limit. When you're shameless and you got somebody being a doormat, you step on them until they stop being a doormat, or if they just let you step on them for the rest of your life, that's great. This is our Justice yeah. So, Trump supporter. I knew it. Yeah. Yeah, won't someone save the rich? So it doesn't bother you one bit, Tyro, that this is wildly unprecedented. That this could never happen for you. You're totally cool with a man being in a different justice tier because of what? Because why? He was born with some money? Is that why? Because he lied his way into the presidency? Is that why? Doesn't bother you at all that this is, like I said, wildly unprecedented? No? That's how it should be, huh? Rich fuckheads get breaks. That's how it should be? That's how we have an honest justice system? Yeah, okay. You people are just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Rules for thee, but not for me. Just unbelievable, man. Never end. Get one more. Thank you, Big Stefan. I agree. Tyro, you do realize that the lies that he made lost people hundreds of millions of dollars. You do realize that, right? That if you were one of these investors that was burned, you were burned for a lot of money. You're aware of that, right? It's not a victimless crime Trump committed. It's a long trail of victims here. You don't care, though. Yeah, because the state never does that, right? The state never enforces laws that it sees characters break and sues on their own behalf. That never happens. It's unprecedented. Except it happens every single day. Man, what is the big benefit? When Trump's dictatorship is put in place, what's the thing that you're most excited for that Trump dictatorship? What is he going to do to make your life better? Tyro.
Thank you very much. Judge Engoron has done a terrible disservice to the state of New York. What he's done is terrible. Businesses are fleeing. You see that. We just released.
Wow, Tyro, you sound like you know what you're talking about, man. The U.S. government should never involve itself in civil cases, really. Wow. And you think you're going to achieve that with Trump? You think you're going to have less government in your life with Trump? Is that what you think? This dictator? You think that's going to be what? Draining the swamp here? Me being against the one-sided affairs in New York doesn't make me in favor of a Trump presidency. Not one-sided. You're lying. You're wrong. There's people who actually know what they're talking about that vehemently disagree with you. This is not a political witch hunt. Joe Biden is nowhere near this. In fact, Joe Biden put a milquetoast weakling called Merrick Garland in charge of everything, and he's done an atrocious job at going after these criminals for the crimes they've committed. Every break, every delay. Merrick Garland didn't even start until 2 years into Biden's presidency. You're just lying. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The $500 million is because of the sheer amount of fraud that was committed. The $500 million doesn't reflect the politicized the system being politicized. The $500 million reflects the amount of grift, the amount of theft that was being perpetrated here. That's why the amount is so high, because his crime was so egregious. You want some of these properties, he like tripled the size, doubled the value. You understand that, right? And then here we go. The system cups his balls. The system cups his balls and basically agrees with you, Tyro. Tyro, let me ask you a question. If Trump is found guilty of his crimes after the appeals process, should he have to pay the amount that he was charged with? Or should he just be given a break because it's just too high? It's just too high. What do you think? I'm not listening to this fat fuck talk.
You mentioned the cash you had. You said on Friday it's something like $500 million. You intended to put some of that into the campaign. Now that the bond's been reduced, are you going to start putting money into your campaign? You haven't done that since 2016.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business. I mean, frankly.
So the reporter just pointed out that he hasn't. Trump likes to brag that, oh, I'm rich. I don't need any donor money, even though I ask for your money every single day. But Trump hasn't put a dime of his own money into his own campaign since 2016. That's the reality, you fucking idiots. Trump supporters, of course, not the chat. Right? They think, oh, well, he's a billionaire. He constantly brags about how much money he has. I noticed Tyro is not answering my question. Did you leave in a huff? Mr. I don't support Trump, but I'm going to carry water for him? I asked you a direct question, by the way, Tyro. You typing it up? Just taking a while? Going to be like a big old fucking book?
Friday it's something like $500 million. You intended to put some of that into the campaign. Now that the bond's been reduced, are you going to start putting money into your campaign? You haven't done that since 2016.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business. I mean,
oh, there it is. He was typing up a check. Right. He cooked the books, take out higher loans. Cooked again to pay less taxes. Oh, those are big crimes. Yeah. Banks got paid their loans and he paid his taxes. Oh, so if I rob a bank but I give the money back, I don't go to jail? Is that how the law works, Tyrone? If I burgle somebody's house and take their TV, the court will just say, well, just give back the TV, and it's all good. Is that how the law works, Tyro? He did commit illegal activity in cooking the books, and he should be penalized for that. The U.S. government winning $500 million in a ruling does not accurately reflect the severity of the crime. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Once again, because of the sheer amount of grift. You see, most people don't lie the way that Trump lied in these official documents. They'll fudge it a little bit. A little bit. It's a little bit bigger. It's worth a little bit more. Santana did a concert there one time. It's it's like 10 million more. I'm sorry, Tyro. Can we go back to the subject now that you've corrected me, though? Or do we want to focus on that? Once again, the amount reflects the grift. Yeah, some people fudge those numbers a little bit here and there, and they'll get dinged for it. Nobody lied the way that he lied on those documents, the way that he told his employees to lie on those documents. His calculus is that I put my name on the front of the building in gold letters, that therefore it's worth an extra $100 million, etc. Once again, the fee that he has to pay, it's not a pulled out of Fox. This is, you're repeating a Fox News talking point that I showed at the beginning of the stream, by the way. This idea that it's an egregious amount pulled out of thin air. Oh, it's totally arbitrary. Total lie. Complete misinformation. And even if it wasn't, do we think these right-wing ball suckers are gonna say the same thing if the shoe was on the other foot? If some, Texan court laid down the law on I don't know, a fucking what's his name? Soros, right? George Soros is all caught up in Texas court, and Texas court lays down a $500 million verdict on George Soros. Are we going to see these right-wing ball coddlers out here? Oh, that's too much. George Soros shouldn't have to pay that much. That's unfair. Do we really think that's what we would see? Oh, these principled centrists coming out of the woodwork. Oh, well, I thought it was unfair for Trump, so I think it's also unfair for Soros. Really? Really? Do we really think this? Or are people like Tyro here playing some gaslight game? Well, let me guess, Tyro, you're a big fan of Joe Rogan, still running around saying Joe Rogan's a centrist, still running around saying, well, he voted for Bernie. You're one of those types, right? Yeah, Tyro. Yeah, you got no skin in this game. You just think this obscenely wealthy, corrupt politician should be given a break. Oh, poor fella. Huh? That's so high. That's so unfair. I took a 10-minute glance at the numbers, and that's too high. Meanwhile, I've been following this shit since day fucking one. The entire process. Like I said before, the amount is based off the theft. It's based off the crime that was committed. It's not arbitrary, and that line about it being arbitrary is a right-wing lie talking point. Tyro, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. That his claims of wealth are, it's irrelevant that his claims of wealth are inaccurate. It's totally irrelevant. Okay? If I'm lying to all my friends that I'm a billionaire, and then I get charged in court, those lies that I told my buddies about my wealth do not factor into the calculation the court makes on my wealth. They have specialists. There's a whole process, asshole. There's a whole process for determining the actual wealth of a person that's being punished. Okay? It's not just pulled out of thin air. Hey, Tyro, who you voting for, buddy? I like to watch right-wingers who pretend they're centrist dance. Who you voting for, Tyro? Is that your own business? Am I being too personal? Don't want to tell us the dirty little truth, right?
And so we'll continue to listen into Donald Trump, but as he continues to make what are provably wrong statements and
provably, demonstrably, evidence, documented. Oh, we got to give him a break, though, guys. That's too high.
Confuse certain things and go off on tangents.
Those are my values. Why are they just exactly the way you expect them to be? Just exactly as we expect them to be. Why are they like that? Why are they like that? Exactly what is, it's not about left or right, guys. It's not about left or right. He has no choice. He has no choice but to vote for an authoritarian dictator, guys. Oh. It's not that he's a right winger. It's just that Trump's authoritarian fascist views align with his values. Oh, I know. Joe Biden's such an authoritarian. What's he doing to you, honey? Did Joe Biden take your abortion rights away? Huh? Is the Hunter Biden case? Are you gonna compare the Hunter Biden case to all the crimes of Trump? Same thing, same stuff, guys. How many insurrections did Joe Biden plan and execute? 7, 8, right? How many times has Joe Biden been impeached? 5, 6 times, right? You're so completely and utterly to the brim full of shit. It is wildly pathetic. Stop your grift. Just stop your social media activity, man. This whole I'm just an honest guy that believes America needs a dictatorship. It aligns with my values. They're basically the same thing, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, so why not vote for a dictatorship? Yeah, because you agree with him. Because you agree with him. All right, Tyro. It's been real fun. Thank you so much. Fuck off. Bye-bye.
If I can, to Lisa Rubin. And Lisa...
9 times out of 10, when they step in the chat and they go, is this a safe space? What's your political values? What's your political views? They want to ask if this is a right-wing safe space. That's why.
He did a lot of name dropping there. He went off, as I said, on a number of different tangents. But what's your takeaway from what he had to say?
It's just against my values.
Well, Chris, I'm having trouble hearing you right now, but one of the things I heard the former president say in his statements was reiterating his constant line that this is an example of Biden-led interference. That's exactly what Judge Merchan found today.
I don't want
not
Twitch's
what
money.
Is going on. In fact, what he found was that the Manhattan DA's office was not responsible for the belated transmission of materials relating to Michael Cohen's prosecution by the Southern District of New York because
it's not about left or right. It's just that I agree with every right-wing talking point I've ever heard. But I'm right in the center. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to listen to the left. That's why I think Joe Biden is a communist dictator, just like Mao Zedong. Because I'm right in the center. I'm listening to both sides. I just believe every single right-wing talking point. It's just a coincidence, guys.
that office is not under the control of the DA, not under the direction of the DA, and he found no evidence that those offices were doing anything but meeting together in the ordinary course to exchange materials subject to a court order, not colluding between them, as the former president is very fond of saying. He also talked just now about Matthew Colangelo. Mr. Colangelo is the lead lawyer today in court for the Manhattan DA's office. Yes, he is also a veteran of the New York Attorney General's office, where he met Alvin Bragg, the now elected district attorney. He has also spent some time at.
But the appeals court just gave us a little hint on their mentality, on what they think. Right? And maybe, if maybe this is the appeals court, because we see this a lot, that regardless of the fact that the right wing are utterly shameless, and no matter what happened, right? I mean, as we saw on Fox 5 minutes after they were reporting on it, this is too high, this is absurd, 175 million, too high, too high. There's no amount, there's no, that's their reflex, right? It's a politicization of the justice system, politicization. It's Joe Biden going. That no matter what happened, regardless of that fact, we will still see the system kind of hedge itself against, those reactions. So maybe this is the appeals court saying, okay, $500 million for a bond. Yeah, that's kind of high. But, we're going to let the appeals process go through. And then this is just them saying, let's be fair. Once again, though, I need to point out, does the system ever say that for literally anybody else? And I'm talking millionaires. Do we ever see billionaires in court? Never. You know what I mean? Has this appeals court, has this system ever, just out of the kindness of its heart, go, oh, that's kind of woof. And according to that, that expert that we heard, yeah, sometimes it comes in and says that. So maybe this is just them hedging and saying, okay, yeah, all right, just to avoid any appearance of impropriety, any appearance of unfairness, let's reduce the bond amount, let the appeals process proceed. Sounds like coke coming right out of my fucking mouth, though. You know what I mean? How can I not be cynical? How can I not be cynical of what's going to happen in the appeals process? But maybe that's what this is. We'll throw them a bone now, fuck them later with it, right? Okay. My whatever organ in my body that produces hope is like the size of a raisin. It's like that, it's like the Grinch's heart at the beginning of the movie. 3 sizes too small, right? Estonian over here. Uh-oh. Is he talking shit about me? Oh, that's great. Let's go check out his X account. Let's see here. Is he bragging about being banned from my channel? Oh, I see. Zelensky named Person of the Year. At first, I was confused why they'd pick someone. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. And then I remember that Hitler and Stalin. Ooh, yikes. I mean, I hate Times Person of the Year for the exact same reason. But he's not criticizing Time. He's saying Times Person of the Year is happy to celebrate dictators. And look, they just did it again. Yeah. All right. I literally, the first comment, by the first comment, I knew what this guy was trying to do. From the first fucking comment. Oh, is this a right-wing safe space where I can pretend to be a centrist? Oh, it's just a logical way, guys. I thought Trump was broke, was supposedly his stake in Truth Social. Something's worth. So, well, no, it's $3 billion, and that's just on paper. And it's only $3 billion because, because of manipulations of the market. He's not going to get $3 billion from it. It's like when, a company goes public and, it's worth, $1 bazillion. Heard multiple talking heads refer to cashing it out, but not the valuation or process. I mean, he needs to dump immediately. He literally needs to do this immediately. Sell right now. Because I think the value is already plunging. Also, don't forget, he still has to pay up. I would love to see his trial for unpaid fines. Well, how long can he delay the appeal? Because if he can delay the appeal until he gets to the presidency, install a new AG, pardon himself, etc., went down like 70% Friday, something like. I saw a headline about it going down. I don't know the specific amount, but yeah, the value is already plunging. And if he sells his stake, I don't know. I mean, he'll still be on the platform. I don't know. Rug pull that bitch. Sell. That's what I would be doing if I was Trump. Who cares? It's just some god awful social media company that nobody nobody really uses. It's funny because what he does is he posts on True Social, and then his sycophants on all the other social media repost it. So that he's one of the few people that could actually get away with this kind of grift, right? Of like, oh, well, I'm just going to create my own social media, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, that for most people, even celebrities, right? Like, if, I don't know, Mark, fucking, I can't think of a celebrity's name. I don't know. Iron Man, the guy, Robert Downey Jr., right? He gets canceled on social media and he makes his own Iron Man social media. You get some Marvel fans or whatever coming over there, but they're not gonna hang off of every word from Robert Downey Jr. and then repost that on Facebook and repost that on Twitter and repost, you know what I mean? He's like one of the only characters that can get away with that.
At the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. But again, this is the former president trying to confuse folks watching by alleging somehow that this is evidence of collusion between state and federal governments and offices of law enforcement when there's been no proof to that point in court or otherwise, Chris.
And in fact, there were points today in court where the judge pushed back saying, you don't have any proof of what you're alleging here. But I want to go to MSNBC senior political analyst Matthew Dowd. And Matthew, you could argue that taken on its face, there is one thing that Donald Trump said that is true, which is this has never been done in this country before. What he wasn't referencing, but where that is true, is we've never had a former president who is facing 4 criminal trials, nearly 90 counts of indictments, that we have never before had a former president who is facing 2.
I guess the appeals process gets started sometime after this 10-day delay. And then if he can secure the money by this 10 days, and he will, no problem. So I guess it'll start, maybe, I don't know, a couple days after the 10-day or a week after the 10 days. I don't know, whenever they schedule it. I guess they got to figure out what happens next, Been pissed since the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago and found all those documents Trump stole of ours, and Trump wasn't arrested and interrogated for hours like any of us. Would have been thrown in jail until trial. 21-year-old was posting documents and he pleaded guilty to 17 years for doing it. I mean, so they're not to get into specifics and drill it down, because I see what you're saying and I don't necessarily disagree. Yeah, so you're talking about that idiot on the War Thunder Discord who was like, this tank is capable of this, and you want to know how I know? It's like, okay, dumbass. It's so crazy with Trump, because it's literally okay that he took all those documents and stored them in the bathroom or wherever, right? There's several places where he stored them. That's actually not the problem. The problem is that after they did an audit, discovered, oh, well, some of these have actually were reclassified, or so they do a whole audit process, right? But they did an audit. They're like, oh, you got some documents that you need to return, and he said, no, I don't. No, I don't. Oh, they're mine. Well, they're my personal documents. You're not even giving me enough time to sort through them. What do you mean? They're all my personal stuff. It's like, no, it isn't. It's the people's stuff, and you got to give it back. Happened to Joe Biden. It happened to Mike Pence. And they were like, oh yeah, no problem. Here you go. According to Joe Biden, he didn't even know he took them, which is probably something I wouldn't put out in the press. But hey, he's been in government since any of us in the chat was fucking born. Right? Unless you're old enough to have watched Johnny Carson on TV, Joe Biden has been in politics our entire lives. So the problem is that he just didn't give him back. And he still doesn't want to give him back. God damn, what are in these fucking documents, man? Is he literally just doing this for like bragging rights? Because that tape that was released, he's all like, oh, I got all these secret documents. He's like pulling out stuff. Look, this general said I was right about Iran. See this? See, I'm such a smart politician. Well, look at this. Is that literally why he's holding on to this shit? So we can like pull it out at cocktail parties and say how right he was? And the justice system is collapsing, is bending around him reflexively because he's a rich guy and the justice system doesn't know what to do. Well, he's rich. We got to give him a break. He's rich. I don't know. We got to, he's a rich guy. What do we do? Every other rich guy gets a break.
Huge judgments against him in civil cases. But we're going to go back to him when there is Q&A, when we're able to ask questions, when journalists are able to ask questions. But your take on what you're seeing from Donald Trump today, even on a day when arguably he got a big win.
YouTube. Uh-oh, my YouTube. Something's wrong with my YouTube, guys. Hold on. Did I get kicked off YouTube again? God, it's so easy to get kicked off YouTube, dude. It's so fucking easy. Hold on. I gotta check. No, it's still live. YouTube, dude. Okay, no, we're good. Okay. All right. False alarm. Sorry. It's just my chat thing. Stream Elements is having a problem with YouTube. Okay. Woo. Whew. I don't want to open another YouTube channel.
Well, I mean, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, trailhead.
It's typical.
Well, is it the dog catches the car? In this case, like the Trump being the dog catches the car and the car is inflatable and it pops and, and he wins somehow.
Delusional Donald Trump, as we've watched over the last 6 or 7 years, and how he tries to spin what's reality into some fiction and hope 40% of the country that buys into it will keep buying into it. Yeah. I would say there was 2 things that he said that were truthful today. Is the one you mentioned, which truthful in a different way, as well as this is election interference, which he's right. It is about election interference, but not against him, but perpetrated by him and his surrogates and people around him, which is why these trials are all sort of necessary and important.
I know this stream sucks, dude. I'm in such a bad mood. I'm just like, I'm trying. Look, I'm not going to be. It's over. Oh, the end of America. No, but this is big, dude. I've never seen anything this blatant. I honestly have never in my life ever seen the justice system just help this guy out, dude. I can't believe they didn't feel it necessary. They felt it necessary to get there early, to do it first thing on Monday. Apparently they only do Tuesdays and Thursdays normally, but they didn't feel it was necessary to give any justification in the ruling. Because of this, because of that, they didn't pick a side. They just gave him a hand and silence. Great. Epstein suicide, pretty big. Yeah. It's I don't know, man. Because like I said, this could all just be, all right, let's have no appearance of impropriety whatsoever. Let's have no appearance of unfairness whatsoever. And let's just, because like it would have been seen as unfair if he hadn't been allowed to appeal, right? Most people are able to get the surety bond and appeal, And if they're doing that, they have a good feeling. They have a good feeling that they're going to get their appeal. In this case, Trump and Trump's team are pretty sure that they're going to be found stone cold guilty and that the appeals process is going to fail. The appeals process is not about winning; it's about extending. It's about a time extension. That's what I'm trying, man. I'm trying to find some logic to this.
We have breaking news. A New York appeals court has ruled former President Trump can post bond in a lower amount than the $464 million originally imposed in his New York civil fraud trial. The decision comes as Trump...
But let's not forget, though, it's not like these systems are so corrupt that they have like, oh, he's guilty of everything. Yeah, no, we totally agree with Trump. He's totally innocent. Like what would happen in North Korea or China, right? Oh, yeah, or Israel. Right? Oh, yeah, we investigated, oh, yeah, not a single crime committed. Oh, it was a typo on the document. He didn't mean it or whatever. We're not there yet, but this is a seminal step towards that, because that's exactly the kind of system that Trump wants, and that's the kind of AG that Trump is going to be putting in place. It's so funny, right? Because this process is being criticized as being arbitrary, right? The amount is arbitrary. Oh, it's so much pulled out of thin air. That's a total lie. But that's the system that they want. They want some. They want to. Oh, $1 billion fine, Hillary Clinton. That's the kind of system that they want, right? Oh, well, I'm sure she's guilty somewhere. They want these kangaroo courts, right? And of course, in their fantasy, in their right wing mind, that these courts are only going after the enemies of their party and the people they don't like. They never fathom these systems collapsing back on them and hurting them, and they're always like, oh, right in front of the mic, I had no idea. Okay, I guess you're right. Always too late, and always so insincere, like they wouldn't be making the same decisions over again.
Faces a deadline today to secure the bond, or the New York Attorney General can start seizing his properties. Let's bring in ABC News executive editorial producer John Santucci for more. John, how big of a win is this for former President Trump?
Oh, that was a big refrain, Ponder Monkey, right? Oh, the Supreme Court, the liberal Supreme Court. Oh, Oh, the what do they call them? Activist judges over here. Roe v. Wade, activist judge decision. Meanwhile, they install straight up conservative activists. Cotton, huh? You got cotton in your name, huh? You. So, hey, Cotton, give me one good reason why I shouldn't report you. And don't pretend like you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. They give him the runaway with the delay. He is president, and then this washes out. If he's convicted, polls say he loses. Yeah, trailhead. Yeah, yes, yeah. I mean, that's some analysts are saying that, like, wow, there are Republicans that if he goes to jail, if he's actually convicted, will. It's not like they'll vote for Joe Biden. They'll just sit out. They'll just sit it out.
Seismic, Diane. So just to boil this down for our viewers, this was the day. This was deadline day for Donald Trump. His team had given up on all options. As we've previously reported, Donald Trump and his attorneys went to 30 different bonding companies to secure the bond for $464 million, and they couldn't get it from anybody. As one source said to me, we are holding out hope that the Court of Appeals would step in. Hope was granted in just the last couple of minutes. What this means is that from 464, the number goes down to $175 million.
Please don't do that, Dakota. Please participate. That if the lesson you are learning from my coverage of this is to not participate, you are not paying attention. You are not paying attention to me, and I vehemently disagree with your comment to my core. Don't bro me. Don't give me your fucking excuses for inaction. I will time your bitch ass out. Don't make me do that. I apologize. Shouldn't have called you a bitch. The lesson you need to be learning is to double your action, not reduce. Double it. Big Stefan is incorrect as well. Even though we have to vote for Biden, especially in swing states, we don't have to do it enthusiastically. The vote should come with a very clear mandate that says, you know, I am going to support every primary challenge against you unless you bend to my progressive values, my left values. How much is 00? Well, it's double. It's double the amount. I'm not sure if SC is I'm not sure. But, you know, my recommendation for the federal elections is vote strategically. Okay? When it comes to primaries, progressive straight ticket, right? Go nuts. Go nuts. You know, vote for your fringest of fringe, right? Whatever. I don't think you should. I think you should try to find the guy who's actually gaining some attention, right? But maybe you don't agree with all the way, but, you know, he's really strong on Israel, or maybe he's really strong on single-payer health care. Apathy serves the right wing. Apathy serves the empire. Look, it's that 3-step program. 1, inform yourself. 2, put your name down, you know, on a progressive political organization, a union, you know, a politician that you like that's running for office. Put your name down. Offer to volunteer. And then step 3, you actually got to do it. You got to find the time. You got to turn this into a lifestyle. Period. Period. The only thing that's ever worked, as Kronos likes to say.
In this order that was just released by the First Department for Appeals
here in New York. When it comes to federal elections, you got to be strategic about it.
Donald Trump could post a lower bond. The Attorney General has the right to appeal because in all courts you get 2 rounds. So she could appeal it to the highest court in New York, which is the State Court of Appeals, saying that it should be the bigger number.
Go nuts. If you're one of those lucky people in America that has ranked choice in the federal elections, go nuts.
They are very surprised by this ruling and very grateful for it.
So what happens now, and what do we know about his ability to secure this?
I'm not allowed to vote in, you know, the California elections because I no longer live in California, but I am allowed to participate in the federal elections because I'm still an American citizen. And yes, I have my voting packet, or no, I have my preliminary voting packet, you know, the information that they send you. So I got that. And yeah, I will be voting, you know, and unfortunately, yeah, I have no fucking choice here. You know, I was not allowed to vote in the primaries. I have no fucking choice but to put my vote behind Brandon. And if you think I'm a fan of the neoliberals, boy, you're not paying attention.
Lower bond.
Well, again, the big number was the problem. If you compare the other cases against Donald Trump, remember, he did secure a bond of just...
when you have multiple residences, you have to pick your primary. You have to pick one of them as your primary, and then that's where you vote.
Just under $100 million in the E. Jean Carroll case. So this is a little more swallowable, but nevertheless still a process they'll have to go through. Sources I've spoken to in just the last couple of minutes feel confident they'll be able to secure that bond. But I do think the big picture of all of this, right, is that Donald Trump is obviously dealing with multiple cases, right? The delays, the judgments, etc. The fact that the Court of Appeals here
our voting system is actually incredibly hard to abuse. Like, you know, there's this big canard, you know, stuffing ballot by, like, you know, like this idea that if I you know, fill out a bunch of shitty, you know, of information of like dead people and kids and stuff, right? And I stuff a ballot box and those votes are somehow going to get counted. There's like 3 or 4 redundancy checks. You know what I mean? Like it's actually really, really difficult to fraud the vote. Legitimately. The right wingers that think, oh, it's so easy. Oh, Dominion did it, so I'm going to do it. And, you know, they get busted immediately. They immediately get busted. Why do people call him Brandon? I don't get it. People were chanting, fuck Joe Biden at some event. And the Biden administration embarrassingly said, let's go Brandon. They said that the crowd was chanting, let's go Brandon, when they were in fact chanting, fuck Joe Biden. It was just, you know, it was a really pathetic neoliberal spin. And, you know, the right wingers are great when it comes to name calling, you know, and it just stuck. Yeah. I also know, being older, that there is no perfect candidate. You got to vote strategically. And look, even the progressive guys, you got guys like Fetterman over here who's like, yeah, wow, he's saying a lot of stuff I agree with, but he also thinks Israel can do no wrong. It's like, okay, like that would be a hard out for me with Fetterman. I wouldn't be supporting Fetterman. But with that said, I probably would have supported Fetterman in his initial election had I not heard the Israel stuff. You know what I mean? You get mixed bags, but look, we got to take our citizenship seriously. It's about to be stripped. This could be the final months of our official democracy, guys. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm not being fucking hyperbolic here. We are months away, potentially, from a fucking dictatorship, the end of our liberty. No joke. So we might, vote strategically, might shift into, we have no choice but to challenge the empire in the streets. We have to, a general strike. We have to stop working. We have to stop participating. We have to completely change our lives and enter into a much more aggressive activist stance. Because now we can't vote our way out of this. Now there's no vote. And it's like, oh, well, we're still voting. All the right wingers are going to be, oh, it's still an election. We're still voting. What are you talking about? There's no democracy. No matter, they're changing the system so that your vote will be vestigial and the results will always produce right wing people. And if it doesn't, they're going to have a review process so that they can say, oh, well, that person's not right wing. We get this person involved. If you don't believe me, check Texas, check Arizona, check Kentucky. The laws that they are changing to their elections allow them to say, oh, well, there's a shred of fraud. We get to pick the winner. If you think I'm being hyperbolic, look it up. Google it. Goddamn, because I cover it. I cover it every fucking day, man. And not every day, but every week at least I'm showing you evidence of laws and rules that are being changed by the right wing to make it so that they always win elections.
Stepped in literally on deadline day and gave him a lifeline. I just think that cannot be understated in what a dramatic shift this story has now taken. Because remember,
Haley's out. She just didn't. She hasn't. She's trying to leverage what meager political power she has to get for her endorsement of Trump. Seems like that's petered out, and she should just. It sounds like she's just going to meekly, quietly. Oh, I support Donald Trump now. Okay, guys, bye. So that she can keep her pathetic political career.
They had given up all options. We have been reporting that any moment the Attorney General could
Dakota, I doubt my daily life will change due to the outcome of this election. Wow. Thank you so much for your fucking opinion, Dakota. Thank you so much for your fucking opinion, dude. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Seizing assets based on this ruling, if Team Trump moves quickly enough to secure the bond, they avoid that. Now, the question becomes, does the Attorney General say, all right, fine, or does she appeal now to the Court of Appeals?
You're just being hyperbolic. I'm just being hyperbolic, guys. Nothing will fundamentally change. If Dakota was a woman, he might disagree with that. We have seen a right-wing Supreme Court that says, no, your organs are not yours. Your womb is not yours. And do we think that's going to stop there? Nothing will fundamentally change, except prices are going to go up, more poison in your food and products, daily products, regulations out the window allowing corporations to do whatever the hell it wants to you, including exploitation, but also including egregious price hikes. You're going to pay more for drugs. You're going to pay more for everything. More pollutants in the air and in your water. Oh, nothing in my life will fundamentally change. Really? Changing our democracy to a dictatorship, and you can't with your fucking brain think of even one thing that's going to change in your fucking life. Really? You think it's bad right now with cops and asset forfeiture? Their ability to legally steal from you right now? You don't think that's going to get worse? Oh, nothing in my life's going to fundamentally change. I'm not even going to vote. I'm not even going to vote. These are the comments of defeat. This is exactly why we are where we are. Oh, I don't need to do it. I don't need to do it. Everyone else should do it though. Yeah, you're damn right I'm digging into you, Dakota. Enjoy your time out. What do you want, a pat on the fucking back for this? I don't want to vote. Nothing in my life's going to change when a dictatorship is installed. Pathetic!
That's what we're going to have to see play out, Diane.
Right, we'll be watching that closely. Executive editorial producer John Santucci. Thanks, John.
Thanks.
People have gotten so used to liberty. People have gotten so used to democracy. They can't fathom what it's like without it. And they're going to have to experience it. They're just going to have to see it. Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean nothing's ever going to change? I don't like this. What do you mean? Well, maybe we can change it the next election. What are you talking about, next election? He's going to be in charge, forever. Well, what do you mean things are never going to get better? They are removing the system, democracy, that allows us to change the things we don't like about how we're governed. And they're like, no, just trust us. Just like China. China knows what's best for you. You don't get to go to China and say, oh, I disagree with this. Look what's happening in Hong Kong. Anything that even remotely resembles democracy, nullified, destroyed, stomped out with violence or otherwise. And we hear these people, we hear these right-wingers talk about what's happening in China as if it's like aspirational. Oh yeah, wouldn't that be great? We get our strong man in. He can just do whatever he wants, fiat, right? Just ban because what they want is like, oh, ban all gay people, right? Ban all immigrants, ban this, ban all. Then my life is going to magically get better somehow. I think I got a story here in the U.S. here about one town somewhere, successfully banning all immigrants. Yeah, here it is, Nebraska. Over here in Nebraska, Nebraska town that effectively banned undocumented immigrants unable to fully staff the plants that are the town's economic drivers. They have no idea what they're doing. They literally have no idea what they're doing. It's all emotion-based, policy making. And the politicians that are like, be afraid of this, be afraid of that. They're totally cynical. It's interesting though, right? Like once it's interesting that now that I think about it, once the obligation for a right-wing politician, they have to bow down to these extremist elements, these ignorant religious extremist elements to get their vote, right? To get their support. Well, what happens when that is no longer even necessary? That's going to be interesting. These right-wingers that are like, you got to listen to me, and you got to be against abortion, you got to be pro-Christian, and you got to be this and this and this. They're going to be dealing with politicians that they've installed that just laugh in their face and just totally disagree with them and do whatever the hell they want. And they're going to have no recourse. They're going to have no fucking recourse for that. What do you mean you're not Christian? What do you mean your wife got an abortion? I don't support you anymore. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because he's buddies with the guy who's buddies with the guy who's buddies with Trump. So he's never leaving. Well, what do you mean he had sex with a gay guy at a hotel? Oh, I don't like that. It's under the carpet. I don't want to vote for that. I don't support that. You don't have a choice, right winger. You used to. There's a lot of right wingers that don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but if she if she plays her cards right and she's a sycophant for Trump, her seat in power will be secured for her whole life, just like all the other terrible authoritarian governments that we see across the world, right? Look at Russia. The people that are in power in Russia are not sitting there because they're really good at their job. They're sitting there because they're really good at working their way up the system, sucking up to this guy and doing favors for that guy and stealing money for this guy. Anyway, folks, I just want to thank everybody in the chat. I'm sorry. This is the end of the stream. I'm done. I'm done. I got plenty of news to cover, but I can't. I need to go read. I need to go organize my garage. I got to think about this. And of course, you know, it had to have a character like Dakota in here. Oh, just give up. Just give up. And I know he would say, no, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. And I timed him out, and so I shouldn't put words in his mouth. But that is the exact opposite lesson we need to be learning here. Is that, oh, I'm not going to vote. Nothing in my life is going to change regardless of who's in place. That's just reinforcing that both sides are the same lie, canard. It's a lie. The neoliberals are corporatists, but they're not authoritarian. They're not fascist. Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are. No, they're not. And we shouldn't be making decisions about the existence of our democracy based off this fucking conclusion, man. But thank you, everybody. Chem Goblin, strategy member, Father Dari, Trailhead. Thank you, Dakota. You're welcome back in this chat, but your comments disgusted me. Disgusted me. And I could not even fucking see your fucking name in my chat anymore. That is the exact opposite of the mentality that we need to have right now. Big Stefan, thank you for coming in. Ponder Monkey, you're great. Thank you for being in here. Number one in the chat. ROB in the place to be. Thank you, Rob. Borderline Feline, you're great. Thank you so much. Everyone's contributions in the Discord, thank you. Estonian, you're great. Thank you, Estonian. Father Dari, thank you for coming in. Scrum Bucket, thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. Disriel, hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming in. Leon, you're great. Big props to Leon. Memento Mori, you seemed all right. Thank you, Memento Mori, for coming in. Hope you're doing well. Big props to you. Big props to our one decent Kick viewer, Reed Strader. Thank you for coming in, Reed Strader, over there at Kick. I'm planning on looking into what it requires to start my own party in the Netherlands, but I can't make any promises. Look, man, you just like whatever you're comfortable with, you know? Some people don't, you know, you don't have to start at that level. You know, you don't have to put that on your shoulder, right? All you have to do is something. Literally. If all you've done all month is like 2 hours of phone banking for a political organization that you like, you're great. That's good. That's more than 95% of people that you've done. You know what I mean? So you don't have to put all that into, I need to make a whole new political party and we got to start this revolution. No. You know, find something you believe in, a policy or, you know, a group that is, you know, is like defending human rights or defending this or that, you know, and volunteer and get your feet wet. What's important is that you put the time in. You have to ask yourself, how am I contributing to change? Once a month. You got to do it at least once a month. And of course, you got to do it more than that. I do it almost every single day now. I'm making zero money from this. This is a complete waste of my fucking time, this production. But I can't ignore this. This is the end of democracy, man. You get this? It's literally so big. It's so epic. People just refuse to take it seriously. You know, it's like don't look up, right? It's not as, you know, of course, it's not apocalyptic, the end of the world. And so I get that, where it's like, oh, you're being hyperbolic, but man, people honestly have no idea how important this is. And it's not going to happen overnight, right? You know, and it's not like they're just going to go down the list and start banning things left and right. But once that trigger is pulled, and there's no longer an obligation to democracy, there's no longer an obligation to the people being governed. It happens, you know, slowly here and there, little bans here and there. Okay, we're going to ban this book federally. We're going to ban this federally. And then within 2 to 3 years, all of a sudden, it's like, wow, things have really changed around me. And I can't predict this because we're in completely uncharted territory. But I feel 100% confident to take this seriously. It's like, well, we're in uncharted territory. You don't know. Everything's going to go bad. Everything might go good. I'm not that naive. I just refuse to be that naive. Yeah, read straighter. Yeah. Non sequitur, but indeed. We'll talk about Russia and Ukraine maybe tomorrow. I got a lot of extra news to catch up for, so it might be in a couple days. Because I got to do Gaza. I got to do the U.S. I got to cover Africa tomorrow. So we'll see. Is it, though? You broke together a group of people who are looking for info on situations. Information is the basis for freedom being created. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the only if you want this effort to mean anything, then follow my 3-step program. 1, inform yourself. 2, join a progressive political organization, union, politician, whatever the hell it is. Put your name down, and then step 3, put in the work. That's the only thing that makes any of this worth anything. I'm from Argentina. I agree. We feel the end of the world on the side of this world. Maybe I should add Argentina to that list tomorrow. It's very nice, Confusionia, that you've come by a second time to talk about Argentina and the financial reforms. Are you spending dollars? Are you buying things with dollars now? Well, Strategy, I fully support you in your efforts. Keep at it. Keep up the good work, please. Please do that. No, man, not yet. You're not using dollars yet? How does that? I thought he was going to switch you over to the dollar, man. I hate this background. I need to find a better... It's so hard to look at. I need to find a better background. Oh, yeah. Come on by the Discord, buddy. Chem Goblin's got you. Actually have dollars because our society saves in dollars. Yeah, of course. You'd want to... So you... I've heard of that. I've heard of this behavior in other countries where, like, the moment they get any money in their currency, they take it immediately to the currency exchange and get it and get it transferred into a dollar, whatever the dollar equivalent of it is, so that the value doesn't fluctuate wildly. Need higher salaries? Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? Sorry, I'm sorry, everybody. It was a shitty stream today, and I guess I'm sorry to Dakota. I don't know. I see comments like that, and I am just filled with rage. That even at this stage, we have to deal with these comments. What in the fuck is it going to take for people to get off their ass? You know, does Nick Fuentes need to kick down your door and put a gun in your face for you to fucking act? When it's a big amount of money, we use dollars here sometimes. Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. If I was in that situation, you know, if it was in Venezuela or Brazil. And that's what the U.S. empire loves. That's what they love to hear. You know, total reliance on the dollar. I fear they will only act when it's already too late. Me too. Me too. Dakota convinced that a Trump presidency isn't going to change his life, dude. That's, you know, what can I do, man? Day after day after day, piece of evidence after piece of evidence after piece of evidence that there's absolutely intention to change our lives for the worse permanently. That's not good enough. You know, well, things could be, yeah, you know, it's not that bad. Come on. I get it. It's not a nuclear explosion. It's not, you know, it's not like literally we're going to get, you know, we all die immediately or anything. But it's, yeah, people have become so accustomed to their liberty and to democracy, they can't even fathom what it's like to live without it. And I'm sure Dakota would disagree. But fuck, man, if you're saying comments like that, then you don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. You're over here saying there's no substantive difference between Joe Biden in 2024 and Donald Trump in 2024? Really? You know? Have you seen The Last of Us? I love the scene where they declare it to be a communist society at the end because of the best way of organization. No, I didn't see that part, and I would disagree with that. Unless they actually do communism as laid out in the Communist Manifesto, maybe. A small community of less than 100 people could do that very easily. Could be successful following that. A society of millions of people are not going to accept the government telling them what house to live in. You know what I mean? And that's right there in the Communist Manifesto, that there should be a government agency that tells you, oh, you're worth this. You get this house. They did as laid out, like a small community with no leadership and shared ownership. Yeah, it could work. Communist Manifesto is a perfectly fine framework for small setups. But you got to do some kind of hybridization of democracy and communism at a certain point once you get big enough. Because like I said, millions of people are not going to accept some central government telling them where they can and can't live. That doesn't even go down in China, dog. Even stated they have no leader. Yeah, that's going to work out real great. Me thinks that's a setup. That's a setup for something else later. Isn't that just socialism? Well, Marx himself, apparently, according to experts, used socialism and communism interchangeable. But I think in the modern era, socialism is really more like considered as like a conciliatory, alternative, a conciliatory alternative to capitalism. And like I said, we should hybridize capitalism and socialism. Wherever capitalism doesn't work, we should buttress that with a socialist system, because that's exactly what we're doing right now. Police, roads, schools, etc. Terminology, things change, right? But people who want socialist reforms almost never want full-blown communism. Almost never. People that are actually in power making change. You know what I mean? I'm still pissed off from Joel, guys. I'm not a right-winger. I'm not one of those guys, oh, you've made Ellie ugly in the show. Oh, I can't jack off to a little girl anymore. It's like, no. I don't care about that. But fuck, man, why'd you got to do that to Joel, dude? In the second game. Why? Not my man. I was so connected to Joel in the first game. I felt so much like that character. And I really like the ending of that game. Brought me to tears, man. And then, a couple hours into the second game, he gets murdered like a bitch. He gets caught off guard and murdered like a bitch. No, and that's not Joel, dude. That's not Joel. You're not catching Joel off guard like that. I don't know, man. Just can't, so I haven't even played Last of Us 2. I haven't even gotten into the show. I'm still pissed off at Neil Druckmann, for doing that to Joel. He wasn't a perfect guy. He robbed people, he was a brutal murderer. It's not like he deserved to live happily ever after. I get that direction, but just the way that he got taken out, dude. It's like, and it's okay, you don't need a big heroic death. But that it just and I get it, sometimes you don't get that. Sometimes you do die like a bitch, even though you're a badass. I don't know. Now we're talking about The Last of Us. I'm still burned by Joel. I gotta play Last of Us 2 though. The game looks amazing, dude. It looks so good. I just need to suck it up. I don't want to watch that scene of Joel getting his ass beat. I really don't. But I gotta play the game. It's so good. All right, folks. I think I've rambled long enough. I should do a better stream today, but I can't. I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed about this. like I said before, and I'll just end it at this. I've literally never seen, not even Kyle Rittenhouse was this bad in terms of a miscarriage of justice. This is literally the justice system nakedly saying there's different rules for rich guys. Get over it. Yeah, no, you get that sentence put down on you, you lose your house, you lose your family, you lose your stuff, you're homeless. You can't pay it? Too fucking bad. That is the reality for all of us, except an elite few hundred. I would suspect that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk would receive similar preferential treatment. You know, Bloomberg as well. You know what I mean, though? This is a tipping point. This is bellwether. Really, this is a canary in the coal mine. Maybe not a tipping point. I don't know. Tipping point's a little different. More accurate to me to consider this a canary in the coal mine situation. A warning, a harbinger. It's been mask off for a really, really long time, but this is something else. This is something else. All right, everybody. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to Ukrainian democracy. R.I.P. democracy. Thank you, Ghost Town. Bye.